Hi everyone. So welcome to Wednesdays with me, Paul, at Move Create Practice. So today I thought that we would return to something that we had already done and add on to that. So um, yeah, if you read my post um, or the class description. Today it was really fun to just think of Feldenkrais practitioners as mixologists, fancy bartenders, giving different changing ingredients a bit and offering that as an experience to help people feel differently about themselves. So let's see what's in the mix. How you're going to feel after this. So we can begin. We can go back to the cloud hounds pushing. So if you can do this in standing, or you could even do it sitting on a chair like I am, and going again as if you're pushing very dense air from side to side, and just let your body shape to this intention of really, it's almost like mime. Yeah. So how do you create the resistance, the pushing power? We sometimes even think of it as pulling as well. That although it looks like I'm pushing, I'm pulling something as well from side to side. And in standing or even in sitting, does this movement come from your ankles? Would this movement come from your ankles, your toes, your hip joints, your knees, your spine, even your shoulders and neck? How is this a whole body act? Yeah. And then just have a walk around and see how you are in walking. How does it feel today? Do you feel your walk is being quite fluid? Is it a little bit chunky? How does it feel? How would you describe your walk to yourself? Mm-hmm. Okay. So please come and lie on your back. Mm-hmm. And have your legs long if you can. Have your arms alongside you. And just feel, what are the prominent places in your attention at this moment? Do you feel your breathing? So just take a moment and see, where do you drift or focus with your attention? Are you restful? Are you curious? Um, Tired? Or feeling energetic and looking forward to what we're doing? And already, do you feel the need to have to pay attention to everything of yourself? Or can you just be happy with listening to the places, paying more attention to the places which you feel more immediately? How much of your back is lying on the floor? How are your shoulders resting? What are the places of pressure on the floor? And then roll your head a little bit from one side to another. And of course, you never have to go to the end, and you maybe when you roll the head, see that you just find that range of motion from left to right, where it feels easy, where you're not pushing yourself to go further. Okay. And then just let that go and bend your knees again, stand your feet, and feel both of the soles of your feet on the floor. How that is. Which foot feels maybe more planted or more supported on the ground? Is there a difference from the contact or the support under the right foot compared to the left foot? And just let yourself return to a more calmer state, and just pay attention or observe your breathing for a few moments. See that there might be a changing pressure underneath the ribs behind you, the spine. And then with your right foot, again, can you lift the inside edge of your foot, so the side of the arch, so that you lean more to the outside edge of your foot, and then come back and then start lifting the outside edge of your right foot. And then can you go in a very even speed and an even tempo, rolling across the bottom of your right foot, so that once you would lighten and slightly lift up the inside edge and slightly the outside edge. And just make this movement smooth, feeling that you can continue to breathe as you do this. Lifting once the inside edge of the right foot, then rolling the weight onto the inside edge so that you can lift the outside edge away. And maybe you can find your own the size of this movement which works well for you. Maybe you need to do a bigger movement. Maybe you need to go very microscopic. And just feel whatever it is that you feel. Where does movement happen in order for you to lift the inside edge and the outside edge of the right foot? And would you be able to do this movement without tilting your right knee so much from side to side, so that you continue to have a sensation of standing over your right foot, of being supported over your right foot, but then you just move in the ankle in a way that you roll your right foot more to the outside edge and to the inside edge. Yeah. And allowing yourself to be patient, to just have the sensations of the movement arrive. How do you feel the movement in the right knee, down the right thigh to the right hip joint? The back of your pelvis, is there any rolling of the weight behind your pelvis, behind or over your sacrum on the floor as you roll over the bottom of your right foot? Feel all the way up your spine, your chest, the right shoulder, your neck, the pressure behind your head. So in this state of wondering, while rolling my right foot so that I lift the inside edge and the outside edge alternately in a smooth way. What's happening? I wonder, what's happening? All the way up to my head. And you just feel whatever you can feel at this moment. Because this will probably not be the last time that you explore and experience this movement. And maybe to just mix things up a bit, can you raise both of your arms towards the ceiling so that your arms are vertical, your hands will be, your arms are vertical over your shoulders, as if you're reaching up to the ceiling and have your arms vertical resting over your two shoulders. So see now that you've eliminated your arms from the floor and they're up and you're resting more on your shoulder blades. Then are there movements, the movements that might happen in your chest, your spine, your lower back, your neck and head, do they become a bit more apparent? Does the movement of your foot arrive to your neck? Okay. And then please let your arms down, have your legs be long again, and then just take a rest. And see if there's anything different about the way you feel yourself. Resting with your legs long. And remember, if you can't rest with your legs long, if that gives you some discomfort, it's not so great for your back, you can always just keep your feet standing to rest, or even come lie on one side, so that everyone can, again, just use my instructions as a framework for exploration, and you don't have to abide to every single thing that I say. And so you're using the lesson structure to help find what you can do, what makes you feel good. So bend your knees again and stand your feet. And can you lift your right foot off of the floor so that the right lower leg is dangling? And so you have the lower leg just hanging in the air. Your right knee is bent a bit closer towards your chest or above your chest. Yeah. And once you found that place, just flex your right foot a bit. Flexing the right ankle, bringing the toes upwards towards the shins. Somewhere again comfortable. And then can you lift the inside edge once and the outside edge of your right foot? Just like you did on the floor, but now with your foot in the air, with your lower leg hanging. And feel how the movement travels up. Again, through the right knee, the right hip, behind the pelvis, so over the sacrum, the vertebrae of your lower back, and think about the breadth of your whole spine, the vertebrae of your spine, so that what I like to think about is the width and the dimensions of the volume of the spine. And seeing that having a more three-dimensional image, comprehension of your spine, whether you're able to sense, catch more the subtle movements in the spine that accompany the movement of your right foot. Lifting the inside edge and the outside edge alternately whilst it's in the air. Can you continue to breathe easily as you do this? And also feel that there's dimension, there's volume in your thigh bone, and how the movement of lifting the inside and outside edges of your right foot, it might turn, you might feel it turn the right thigh bone in the hip socket, in the hip joint. Okay, And just let your right foot come to the floor. For a second, stand the right foot. See if anything is different about the way you sense the support of the right foot compared to the left. Okay. So now, can you raise your right foot off the floor and keep the lower leg dangling once again? And can you maybe go a bit deeper into the movement of lifting the inside edge and then the outside edge of your right foot? So it's a movement of the ankle. So perhaps it would be helpful if you sit up for a moment and place your right foot on the floor in front of you. Sit up and stand the right foot on the floor in any way that is comfortable, and just look at your right foot as you lift the inside edge, lift the outside edge. Yeah. And see that there are creases, there we go, happening in the ankle. And see if you're able, so that there's sort of a folding you can see in the socks as you lift the inside edge and outside edge. And just see if there's maybe there's a little bit more to this, to the crease of the sides of your ankle. Yeah, just watch yourself do this a few times. And notice, where does your knee want to go? Does your knee want to go a bit from side to side as you do this movement? And feel how definite this rolling across the bottom of your foot is. And even in sitting and doing this movement with your right foot standing while you're sitting, notice if there are movements that travel up the leg into the right hip joint and even further up. Great. And go a little bit faster. Change your speed, the tempo a bit. And so you have control over what you're doing. That's sometimes you can go faster, sometimes you can go very slow, very delicate. And see, and notice how there's always movement that from more than one part. Yeah, that in moving the ankle, it's not just the ankle. Great. So come back onto your back and just take a rest with your legs long, your arms alongside you as well. Did anything change to the length that you sense in your right leg? In the texture of inside the right hip relative to the left hip? Okay. So stand your feet once again and raise your right foot in the air, and continuing with the right lower leg just dangling, hanging in the air. And can you again go back to lifting the inside edge of the right foot, the outside edge, and notice if it might be a bit more, if it might be clearer, more articulate after doing it in the same movement in standing, or in sitting, I'm sorry. Is it a bit clearer how you're moving in the ankle to lift the inside edge and the outside edge of the right foot? And begin to allow your knee to move with this movement, and see, where does your knee want to go when you lift the inside edge of the foot, of the right foot? And then where does your knee want to, in which direction does your knee want to lean when you lift the outside edge of your right foot? And you'll see that your right knee wants to close towards the left, the right knee wants to open to the right side. And so from moving your ankle in this way, that it invites or obliges your right knee to move right and left, and that means that there's movement in the right hip joint. And so remember, if you need to take a rest at any point, just let your right foot come to the floor, take a breather, and then you can rejoin again. But if you're okay, then can you exaggerate the movement of your right knee as you lift the inside edge and then the outside edge of your right foot? Just let it, and see what happens again in your pelvis. Maybe you're rolling your pelvis, or the weight shifts from side to side over your sacrum. The back of your pelvis, does this affect how you lean over your lower back, behind your chest, your shoulders, even your neck and head? Okay. So just place your right foot on the floor for a moment and rest with your feet standing. Mm-hmm. So raise your right foot, lift your right foot off the floor again. The lower leg continues to hang. And then lift the inside edge of the right foot and keep the inside edge lifted. And then can you move the knee inwards to the left and then outwards to the right as you keep, but you always keep the inside edge of your right foot lifted, so that there's no movement happening in the right ankle, but you keep the inside edge lifted as you bring the knee inwards and outwards. And see, when you keep the arch lifted, where does your knee go easier? Does it want to open to the side more, or in keeping the inside edge of your foot raised, then does it want to, is it easier for you to bring the knee inwards? And you'll probably notice that it's easier to open your knee to the right side. So once you've done that a few times, then explore what it's like to keep the outside edge of your right foot lifted. And so your ankle stays that way. The outside edge of the right foot is lifted, and you move the knee inwards and outwards. And does that change the ease or the direction of ease for your right knee, side to side? Yeah. And now go back to alternating, lifting the inside edge and then the outside edge of the right foot. And then see if it's clearer where your knee wants to, goes easily, depending on which edge of the right foot you're lifting. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then let that go. Take a rest. Yeah. And did that feel a bit weird? That there was there a little bit of a stutter in the thinking, in your thinking, trying to keep one edge lifted as you move the knees in and out? And if so, then you're probably learning something new, or something that you knew how to do many, many, many years ago. Okay. So stand your feet again, and can you raise your right foot off the floor, but this time have your right foot at the same height as your right knee, so that your right lower leg is parallel to the floor. And then keeping the right lower leg parallel to the floor, to the ceiling, then just flex enough in the right ankle, bending the foot backwards, so that you can lift the inside edge and then the outside edge of the right foot alternately. And then allow the movement of the foot like this to turn your knee inwards and outwards. And see what your spine has to do. your ribs, your chest, even your shoulders. Yeah. And for anyone who wants to, a great tool that I've discovered is to lift both arms into the air so that the arms are vertical over your shoulders, and then do the movements of your right foot, lifting the inside edge and outside edge with both arms up in the air, so that you're leaning on less surface area behind you, and then see if that actually motivates, creates the circumstances for your spine to move, your chest to move, even your neck. Are you more perceptive to the weight shifts that happen behind you? Okay. And then a few times, keep the inside edge of the right foot lifted, and then move the knee inwards and outwards. And again, seeing where does your knee move to, in which direction does your right knee move towards, keeping the inside edge of your right foot lifted. And can you locate where the movement is, where your right hip joint is? Where's the movement happening? Yeah. And then a few times keeping the outside edge of your right foot lifted. Move your right knee inwards and outwards. And feel what that does to your pelvis. Where does your right knee go to now? Easier. Perhaps turning the right knee in will be easier. Feels more logical, maybe. And then go back to alternating inside edge, lifting the inside edge, and then lifting the outside edge of your right foot, keeping the right lower leg parallel to the floor, and see how that fits together. Great. And then let your foot come down, take another rest. Yeah. And sense the differences that have occurred after doing these explorations. Has anything also become different in your breathing? And roll your head a bit from side to side. Is there a noticeable difference in how your head rolls from side to side? Did one side become easier? Are you rolling more to one side compared to before? How do you feel is there any difference in the contact behind your two shoulder blades now? Great. So now, please bend your knees, stand your feet again, and just observe how is your right foot on the floor, or your whole right side, and the left foot, how it's supporting you and the whole left side of you. Any differences there? And then begin to lift the inside and outside edges of your left foot alternately. So once lifting the outside edge of your left foot, and then rolling across the bottom of the foot, lifting the inside edge of the foot. And as you had already observed, you were looking at your right foot doing this movement and sitting, and see if you can go back to the image of the creases that happen on the two sides of the ankle as you lift the inside edge of the foot and then the outside edge. I'm just gonna show you a bit. So yeah, so if you're wearing socks, where do you feel the wrinkles on the two sides of the ankles? Yeah. and feel that you can keep the left knee more quiet so that it's standing, continuing to stand over your left foot as you lift the inside edge and the outside edge of the left foot. You can breathe, but feel that in lifting one of the edges, it already begins to hint a direction for your left knee. And then take time to smoothen out this movement, making it easier, finding places where as you crease one side of your ankle, the other side of the ankle will elongate, get a bit longer. Yeah, rolling across the bottom of your left foot, feeling which toes or which pads of your toes in the metatarsals would be heavier, which ones get lighter. And try different speeds. See which speed helps you so that you can feel up the left leg into the left hip, behind the sacrum, if there's any change of the pressure, the leaning from left to right. Feel again the volume of your spine as you do this. Can you feel the left foot moving in your left shoulder, your neck, behind your head? So wondering, pondering, not having to do the movement perfectly or what you think is perfect, but just making it easy, making it enjoyable and interesting for yourself. What happens when you move your foot like this? Inside edge, outside edge. Okay, and then let that go. Have your legs long. Take another rest. And what do you appreciate? What sensations, what changes in your sensations do you appreciate after doing that? Any differences to your eyes, your face? And then bend your knees again, stand your feet, and bring your left knee closer to you and let the left lower leg hang in the air, dangle, so that the left foot is off the floor, and bend the flex in the left ankle enough so that you can lift once the outside edge and once the inside edge of your left foot, and make this movement clearer and clearer. So see how much you need to bend or flex the ankle backwards so that you bring the top of your foot closer towards your shin, and then lift the inside edge and outside edge of your left foot. How do you crease on one side of the ankle as the other side elongates, and then the other side creases? Yeah. Alternating. And then let your knee follow the direction indicated by your left foot. So feel, when does the left foot want to open out to the side, to the left? When does it want to close in towards the right? And just let that happen and see how this will perhaps make you shift the weight behind your sacrum so that your pelvis will roll. How does your weight shift behind your lower back, the ribs, shoulder, head? I think by now you understand the system. And so that you have this checklist that you can always just continue to scan upwards. You can pay attention to the movements of locally to how the left ankle is moving, but then you can continue to scan upwards towards your neck and head and see do some joints shift as a result of moving your left ankle or your left foot and your left ankle like that? And then just put your left foot, stand your left foot on the floor for a second. Yeah. Remembering that you can rest whenever you need to. So the idea is not to fatigue yourself, but to be able to pay attention to the details of the movement. Noticing if there are places which you might be using excessive effort that don't necessarily contribute to a smoothness to the movement. So again, let your left leg, the left lower leg, dangle, hang in the air. So the left foot is up in the air again. And again, lift the inside edge and outside edge of the foot a few times. And now, can you keep the outside edge of the left foot lifted and stay with the outside edge of the left foot like that, and then turn the knee inwards and then outwards. Yeah. And make this movement easy. When your knee comes inwards, the left knee, when it comes inwards, does the left foot swing a bit outwards? And when the left knee opens to the side, does the left foot come inwards, swing inwards? And so you can let that happen. Then bring your inside edge of the left foot to be lifted and stay like that. And then move the knee in and out, always keeping the inside edge of your left foot lifted. And you can always try these movements with your arms up in the air, the arms vertical over the shoulders. If you want to just enhance the feeling, the perception of what's going on in your whole spine, your back. Is there any lengthening and shortening of the sides? Great. And now coordinate, again, lifting the inside edge and outside edge of your left foot, and coordinate that with the in and out of your left knee. So when you lift the inside edge of the left foot, does it make sense to open your left knee to the left, outwards? And when you lift the outside edge of your left foot, do you bring your left knee inwards? And does this shorten one side of your waist, lengthen the other side? So is there some side bending that happens here? Some rolling of the pelvis? Okay. And then just stand your left foot on the floor. And it's always nice to add a little something to the mix. So lift your left foot into the air. Left lower leg is hanging again. And lift the inside edge and outside edge of the foot. Warm that up again. And allow the left knee to go in and out in accordance to the movement of your left foot. Inside edge and outside edge. Make it soft in your left hip joint, perhaps. And if your pelvis rolls, that means that there's movement in the right hip joint as well, right? And so now, can you contradict the movement of the knee to the movement of your left foot? So that when you lift the inside edge of your left foot, have your left knee go inwards. And when you lift the outside edge of the left foot, then you open your knee outwards. And just allow yourself to plunge into this perhaps a bit of confusion at first, knowing that you're challenging your brain to do something that you might not be used to. So when you lift the inside edge of the left foot, then the knee would come inwards. And when you lift the outside edge of the left foot, then you bring the knee outwards. And you don't need to make a huge mammoth movement. It can be smaller at first, so you get used to the feeling of doing this, and then slowly see if it becomes easier and easier. And it's really not about being able to do it perfectly. You can continue to play with this after today, or maybe later on in the evening, but just trying to do something different. Then we can expand more into unknown possibilities, unknown freedoms. Okay. And then go back to coordinating the lifting of the inside edge and outside edge with the knee. And just bring the knee to the easier direction. Okay, great. Let that go. Rest with your legs long. Sense what's changing in your left hip joint, your whole left side. Just take time. Maybe not even work at being aware. Just see, what happened there? And I think doing these lessons, I've always loved awareness through movement lessons because many times you can sneak in a nap, and in this semi dreamy state, there's a yeah, somehow you can zoom into the 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 bigness of very small movements. So just stand your feet on the floor again, both feet on the floor. And just imagine yourself now. We're going to explore the lifting of the inside edge and outside edge of the left foot again, moving the knee in and out, but just with your left lower leg parallel to the floor. And maybe just for a minute, imagine the movement, visualize the movement. Have an appetizer of the movement internally. You can call it rehearsing, you can call it just like lightly touching it with your mind. And can you already feel where your knee wants to go? Whether your knee wants to open more to the side, or whether it wants to come inwards, close inwards, as you lift the inside edge and the outside edge of your left foot, maintaining the left lower leg parallel to the floor and to the ceiling so that the left foot stays at the height of your left knee. Mm-hmm. Breathing as you do this. And can you already feel what happens along the left side of your spine, the left side of your chest? And of course, from there you can expand to feeling both sides of your spine and your chest. As you think about lifting the inside edge and outside edge of your left foot, having it at the height of your left knee so that the left lower leg is in the air, parallel to the floor and ceiling. Yeah, not working hard. Staying curious. So then give that a try. Lift your left foot in the air, have it at the same height as your left knee. Feel where you want to start with the left knee so that you're not already working too hard to have the left lower leg parallel to the floor. Flex in the left ankle a bit, and then lift the inside edge, outside edge, and listen for where your knee wants to go. When the left knee wants to come inwards, when it wants to come outwards. And is this movement how you thought it would be? And then keep the outside edge, again, lifted. And then move the knee in and out, keeping the outside edge of your left foot lifted. So the ankle stays with the, the outside of your left ankle will be creased, and then you just move the knee in and out and feel, is it easier to move your knee inwards? Or is it, maybe for some people it's actually easier to move the knee outwards? And then try keeping the inside edge of your left foot lifted, and then keeping the inside edge of your left foot lifted, then move the knee inwards, outwards, sensing, listening for where, to which direction does your knee move in easily, more easily? What difference does it make keeping the inside edge of your left foot lifted? Great. And then just bring your left foot to stand once more. And then lift your left foot in the air again so that it's at the height of your left knee. So the left knee is bent, the left lower leg is parallel to the floor. And then coordinate the knee again with the lifting of the inside edge and outside edge of the left foot. And then play, experiment, try out contradicting the movement of your left foot with the left knee. So if you've been lifting the inside edge of your left foot and the knee moves to the outside, try lifting the outside edge of your left foot in order to move your knee to the outside. Without stiffening your breathing, maybe doing less in order to feel. Can the jaw be soft? And maybe you just want to clarify one direction first. So maybe you want to keep the outside edge of the left foot lifted, and then see if you can move the knee outwards as you do that. And once that becomes clear, then you play with lifting the inside edge of the left foot and then bring the knee inwards. And then when you're comfortable enough, then you just alternate. But having the knee move in the less, what seems like the less logical way, what feels less logical. And then go back to lifting, coordinating the knee, the direction of the knee to the lifting of the inside and outside edge of your left foot. Great. Please take a rest. Lie with your legs long. Sensing what's changed. And roll your head a bit from side to side. See if there's any noticeable difference in the ease of your neck. Is your spine, your back lying differently on the floor? Your shoulders? How is the expansion and reduction of your torso as you breathe? Then bend both knees, stand both feet, and feel how your feet are supporting you now. Is it a bit better than before? And then can you lift both inside edges, both outside edges, so rolling over the bottoms of both feet. At the same time you lift both inside edges, and at the same time you would lift both outside edges. So alternating like that. Feel how you go left and right over the heel, left and right over the balls of your feet. how you lean the weight to the outside edges, lean the weight towards or onto the inside edges of your feet. And what does that do to your knees? And then just lift both of your feet off the floor, let the lower legs hang, and then can you continue to lift both arches of the feet, both outside edges, and let the knees open and close in accordance to the lifting of the edges of your 2 feet. And you want to lift always both inside edges and both inside edges first and then lifting both outside edges. Yeah, so it's a symmetrical movement. Breathing and see how this affects your back, the contact you have, or the way you lean into your back, your shoulders, the back of your head, the pelvis. Okay. And then now keep the inside edges lifted on both feet. Keeping the inside edges lifted, move the knees out and in. And go to where it's easy, yeah? See if lifting the inside edges and then continue to think of the movement continuing. So you don't necessarily just freeze in the ankle, but you think that you continue to lift the inside edges and then you move the knees outwards and inwards. If this actually promotes the opening of your knees outwards. And as you lift and then now try keeping the outside edges of both feet lifted. And then where do your knees go easily? And when the knees come towards each other, closing, then let the feet swing outwards, that they open outwards. And then continue to keep the outside edges lifted and also open the knees to the sides. And keep alternating with the knees in and out, keeping the outside edges of the feet lifted. Continue to breathe, and if you can rest through this movement and feel the rolling of the weight on your back, if there's any shift of the weight over your back to different areas as you do this. And then go back to lifting the inside edges of both feet, then the outside edges of both feet, coordinating the knees again with the feet. Great. Bring your feet back to standing for a moment, and then sense how that is, and then bring your legs long again and rest. Then stand both feet on the floor once again and lift the inside edges and outside edges of your feet, rolling across the bottoms of your feet. You can do this as slow as you need to, or trying a quicker tempo, and you can change the different tempi, the different speeds to suit yourself. And see, as you're lifting the outside edges, what happens to your lower back, the weight behind, or the points of contact underneath your sacrum, what happens when you roll towards the outside edges and you lift the arches of your feet. What happens to your back as a result? When does it seem like your lower back sinks towards the floor? When do you seem to raise the lower back away from the floor? Then lift both feet up in the air and have your knees bent, but the feet are at the same height as your knees, so the lower legs are parallel. And then lift once both inside edges, both outside edges. So lift both inside edges, both outside edges, and let the knees follow. And see that it's the movement of the feet that actually move the knees in and out. And feel what this does to your pelvis, lower back, the back of your neck, back of your head. And if you think that the movement never stops, it continues as you reach the end of each direction, how it's a full movement of yourself, within yourself, full movement. Okay. And then now keep the outside edges of both feet lifted, and then move the knees in and out. Remember, you can take a short break before trying a new variation if you need to just rest your thighs, your hips a bit. Yeah. So not straining yourself. So what is it like? Where do your knees like to go when you keep the outside edges lifted on both feet? And when you keep so just explore that for a bit more. Listen to your jaw, the inside of your mouth as you do this, not holding the mouth, not controlling from your mouth, not here. And then keep the inside edges of your feet, of both feet lifted, and move the knees in and out. And where do your knees enjoy going with the inside edges of both feet lifted? Yeah. And again, feel how the feet swing in and out as you move the knees. That the feet don't stay just where they are in space, but that the feet can come inwards and then they swing outwards, but always keeping the inside edges of both feet lifted. And then stand your feet on the floor again. And come back with the two lower legs parallel to the floor. So the feet are off the floor, the lower legs are parallel to the floor, and lift both inside edges and both outside edges, and just let the knees follow. And see if it gets easier, if it has gotten easier. And then maybe we won't do it here, but then you're welcome to try also the contradictory movement or the opposing movement of the knee to the movement of your feet, so that you would open your knees when you're lifting the outside edges of both feet, and then when you lift the inside edges of both feet, you try to bring the knees together. So this, I guess you can do on your own time. So just stand both feet on the floor. Feel how that is. Lift both outside edges, inside edges, and see if the movement travels more easily throughout your whole skeleton, your whole self. And then just do it with your right foot. Roll across the right foot, the bottom of the right foot, lifting the inside edge, outside edge. How is that? Then try the same thing on the left foot, lifting the inside edge and the outside edge. Great. Then have your legs long. Once again, take a complete rest, noticing what has changed after all these experiences, all these different combinations, mixtures of ankle movements, knee, hip movements. Does it feel like all of you has benefited from a so-called lesson about the ankles and hips? Then roll through one side and just come and sit for a moment and see if exploring your feet in this way has improved the way you sit, meaning improving the feeling you have in sitting. Is it easier to sit now, to breathe? And then when you're ready, please come back onto your feet. And how do you feel back in standing? What is the quality of your standing, your presence, your stability, balance, your readiness to move. And then just look a bit from right to left and see if you might be doing this a bit easier. And in just looking right and left, do you feel that your ankles are involved? And go for a walk. Take a stroll around your room. How is that? Do you notice any change in your arms, your shoulders as well? How is it to lift one arm and then the other arm? Are you feeling that maybe your arms are a bit lighter, a bit freer? And then come back to stand or sitting in a chair, wherever you were for the cloud hands, the pushing of the dense air of the clouds from side to side. And notice if or how this has changed. How are you feeling a bit stronger, fluid, more masterful? Yeah, a bit more stable doing this, a bit more articulated. Would you be able to push something heavier away now? And notice how that these movements, you might have more movements in your ankles that connect you into the floor. So yeah, what else do you feel like doing beyond cloud hands, beyond just walking? But what would you like to do after this lesson with this feeling? Dancing naturally is something I would always suggest, but I don't know, maybe this would help. Bouldering, or do you just feel like meeting friends now, going for a nice run, a stroll, swimming? Yeah, I'd love to hear your comments. I haven't been able to respond to the comments from last time, but I have read through some of them, and I thank you for them in advance. And yeah, hopefully you'll stay interested in the feet. I have another lesson in mind, but if you'd like to explore something else, then I'd love to hear from you as well. But yeah, have a great time with this new sensation, this new experience, and hope to see you again next week, next Wednesday. So take care, everybody. Thank you.